Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Hare. Hey bolo, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bolo Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nita Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nita Gora Hari Bol. Nita Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hey, bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Krishna, hey. Krishna 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 Krishna, hey. Bola Krishna 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 Krishna, Rakshamam. Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rama Raghava Rakshama. Bolo Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Ram Raghava Rakshama. Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima. Bolo Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Krishna Keshava Pahima. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Bola Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna 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 Hey. Bola Krishna 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 Rakshama. Hey Bola Krishna 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 Pahima. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribo. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Hare. Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Bolo hande bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Bolo hande bol, Hari bol, Hari bol, Hari bol. Hare Rama, Rama Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Gora Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol. Nitai Gora Haribol, Haribol. Gora Haribol, Nitai Gora Haribol. Nitai Gora Premanandi Ki Jai. Gora Premanandi Haribol. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Bhagavad Gita Grantha Raja Ki Jai. Gora Premanandi Haribo, Haribo, Haribo. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So it's very important to always chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. This is the Yuga Dharma Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yuga Dharma means the recommended way to make spiritual advancement in this age of Kali Yuga. And that is by chanting the holy names of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This is your ticket back to the spiritual world. And it's free. You don't have to pay for the ticket. Okay, so today we're going to hear from Beyond Birth and Death. This is a book by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And here today we're going to hear from the Elevation at Death. Elevation at Death. And Srila Prabhupada, His Divine Grace, writes, there are different kinds of transcendentalists who are called yogis. Hatha yogis, jnana yogis, dhyana yogis, and bhakti yogis. And all of them are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The word yogi means to link up or to connect to Krishna. And the yoga systems are meant to enable us to link with the transcendental world. As mentioned in the previous chapter, originally we are all connected to the Supreme Lord Krishna. But now we have been affected by material contamination. The process is that we have to return to the spiritual world. And that process of linking up is called yoga. Another meaning of the word yoga is plus. At the present moment, we are minus God or minus the Supreme. When we add Krishna or God to our lives, this human form of life becomes perfect. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection so that at the time of death, when we have to give up this material body, that perfection can be realized. Well, what is the practice that we have to do in preparation of the moment of death? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. We should chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra without stopping every day. That will prepare us for the most critical moment in our life, the moment of death. For the devotee, the moment of death is the best moment. And for the non-devotee, the moment of death is the worst moment. So if we're practiced at chanting always, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, because practice makes perfect, then we can remember the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at the moment of death and go back to the spiritual world. But if we're not practiced to chant Hare Krishna, you won't be able to remember to chant the holy name of the Lord, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Therefore, people who can't chant the holy name of the Lord at the moment of death, they stay in the material world and continue to suffer birth, death, old age, and disease. So today we're reading from the Beyond Birth and Death by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And we're in chapter 2, Elevation at Death. There are different kinds of transcendentalists who are called yogis. Hatha yogis, jnana yogis, dhyana yogis, and bhakti yogis. And all of them are eligible to be transferred to the spiritual world. The word yoga means to link up, to connect to, let's say. And the yoga systems are meant to enable us to link with the transcendental world. As mentioned in the previous chapter, originally we are all connected to the Supreme Lord, but now we have been affected by material contamination. The process is that we have to return to the spiritual world, and that process of linking up is called yoga. Another meaning of the word yoga is plus. At the present moment, we are minus God, or minus the Supreme. When we add Krishna or God to our lives, this human form of life becomes perfect. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection so that at the time of death, when we have to give up this material body, that perfection can be realized. So what perfection am I talking about? Chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If we chant every day of our life this Maha Mantra, as much as you can, if you're an initiated devotee, it has to be at least 16 rounds every day of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. But that's the minimum. There is no maximum. So you don't have to stop at 16 rounds on your beads every day. You can continue chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra as long as you want. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection so that at the time of death, when we have to give up the material body, that perfection can be realized. What perfection are we talking about? The ability to always chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. At the time of death, we have to finish that process of perfection. During our lifetime, we have to practice the method of approaching that perfection so that at the time of death, when we have to give up this material body, that perfection can be realized. What perfection are we talking about? The perfection of chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Prayana kale manasachalena, bhaktya yukto yoga balena chaiva, Guruvor madhye pranam avesha samyak satam param purusham upaiti divyam. One who at the time of death fixes his life air between the eyebrows and by the strength of yoga with an undeviating mind engages himself in remembering the Supreme Lord in full devotion will certainly attain to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, you don't have to do this type of severe yoga. In this age of Kali Yuga, what is recommended is to continually chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's even more helpful to attain illumination and liberation from the cycle of birth and death. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Just as a student studies a subject for 4 or 5 years and then takes his examination and receives a degree, Similarly, with the subject of life, if we practice during our lives for the examination at the time of death, and if we pass the examination, we are transferred to the spiritual world. Our whole life is examined at the time of death. So, what are they talking about here? It's all about chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra at the moment of death. But to do that, you have to be practiced, because practice makes perfect. So throughout our life, if we're always chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, then it becomes second nature or primary nature to always chant the holy name of the Lord wherever you are and in whatever situation you're in. So always chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti konteya sadatad bhava bhavita. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. There is a Bengali proverb that says that whatever one does for perfection will be tested at the time of his death. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes what one should do when giving up the body. For the dhyana yogi, meditator, Shri Krishna speaks the following verses. Yadaksharam Veda Vido Vadanti Vishanti Yat Yatayo Vita Raga Yad Itchato Brahmacharyam Charanti Tate Padam Sangrahahena Pravaksye Sarvadwarani Samyamya Mano Hidi Nirrudacha Murdani Ahai Atmana Pranam Asito Yoga Duraranam. Persons who are learned in the Vedas, who utter the Omkara, and who are great sages in the renounced order, enter into Brahman, or the spiritual world. Desiring such perfection, one practices celibacy, meaning no sex. I shall now briefly explain to you this process by which one can attain salvation, meaning liberation from birth and death. The yogic situation is that of detachment from all sensual engagements. That's meat eating, gambling, illicit sex, and intoxication. Closing all the doors of the senses and fixing the mind on the heart and the life here at the top of the head, one establishes himself in yoga. In the yoga system, this process is called pratyahara, which means just the opposite. Although during life the eyes are engaged in seeing worldly beauty, at death one has to retract the senses from their objects and see the beauty within. Similarly, the ears are accustomed to hearing so many sounds in the world, but at the moment of death, one has to hear the transcendental Omkara from within, meaning the chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. After being situated in this yoga practice and vibrating the sacred syllable Om, the supreme combination of letters, if one thinks of the Supreme Personality Godhead and quits his body, he will certainly reach the spiritual planets. In this way, all the senses have to be stopped in their external activities and concentrated on the form of Vishnu Murti, the form of God, or Krishna. The mind is very turbulent, but it has to be fixed on the Lord in the heart. When the mind is fixed within the heart and the life air is transferred to the top of the head, one can attain perfection in yoga. At this point, the yogi determines where he is to go. In the material universe, there are innumerable planets, and beyond this universe, there is the spiritual universe. The yogis have information of these places from the Vedic literatures. Just as someone planning to go to America can get some idea what the country is like by reading books, one can also have knowledge of the spiritual planets by reading the Vedic literatures. The yogi knows all these descriptions and he can transfer himself to any planet he likes without the help of spaceships. Space travel by mechanical means is not the accepted process for elevation to other planets. Perhaps with a great deal of time, effort, and money, a few men may be able to reach other planets by material means, spaceships, spacesuits, etc. But this is a very cumbersome and impractical method. In any case, it is not possible to go beyond the material universe by mechanical means. The generally accepted method for transfer to higher planets is the practice of the meditational yoga system or jnana system. The bhakti yogi system, however, is not to be practiced for transfer to any material planet. Those who are servants of Krishna, the Supreme Lord, are not interested in any planets in this material world because they know that on whatever planet one enters in the material sky, the four principles of birth, old age, disease, and death are present. On higher planets, the duration of life may be longer than on this earth, but death is there nonetheless. By material universe, we refer to those planets where birth, old age, disease, and death reside. And by spiritual universe, we refer to those planets where there is no birth, no old age, no disease, or death. Those who are intelligent do not try to elevate themselves to any planet within the material universe. If one tries to enter higher planets by mechanical means, instant death is assured. For the body cannot stand the radical change in atmosphere. But if one attempts to go to higher planets by means of the yoga system, he will acquire a suitable body for entrance. We can see this demonstrated on this earth, for we know it is not possible for us to live in the sea, in the watery atmosphere, nor is it possible for aquatics to live on the land, as we understand that even on this planet, one has to have a particular type of body to live in, a particular place. So a particular type of body is required for other planets. On the higher planets, bodies live much longer than on Earth, because 6 months on Earth is equal to 1 day on the higher planets. Thus, the Vedas describe that those who live on the higher planets live for up to 10,000 Earth years. Yet, despite such a long lifespan, death awaits everyone. Even if one lives for 20,000 or 50,000 or even 10 million years in the material world, the years are all counted and death is there. How can we escape this subjugation by death? That is the lesson of the Bhagavad Gita today. Najayate mriyate va kadachin nayam bhutva bhavita vana bhuya ajo nitya sasvato yam purano nahanyate hanyamane saride. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being, does not come into being, and will not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. So that is talking about the soul, right? Not the material body, but the soul, which is in the body. For the soul there is neither birth nor death at any time. He has not come into being. That means the soul is eternal. He does not come into being. He is unborn, eternal, ever-existing, and primeval. He is not slain when the body is slain. We are spirit soul, and as such, we are eternal. Why then should we subject ourselves to birth and death? One who asks this question is to be considered intelligent. Those who are Krishna conscious are very intelligent because they are not interested in gaining entrance to any planet where there is death. They will reject a long duration of life in order to attain a body like God's, like Krishna. Ishwara Parama Krishna Sat Chitananda Vigraha Sat Mi Nanadiradi Govinda Sarvakarana Karanam. Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of pleasure. Krishna is the reservoir of all pleasure. If we transfer ourselves from this body into the spiritual world, either to Krishna Loka, Krishna's planet, or any other spiritual planet, we will receive a similar Sat Chit Ananda body. So Sat means eternal, Chit means full of knowledge, and Ananda means full of transcendental pleasure. So we'll receive a body that is made up of Sat, Chit, Ananda, and Vigraha means a body that is made of eternity, knowledge, and transcendental bliss. Thus, the aim of those who are in Krishna consciousness is different from the aim of those who are trying to promote themselves to higher material planets within this material world. The self or soul of the individual is a minute spiritual spark. The perfection of yoga lies in the transferal of this spiritual spark to the top of the head. Having attained this, the yogi can transfer himself to any planet in the material world according to his desire. Of course, we don't do that type of yoga. Why? Because it's unnecessary. If we simply chant Hare Krishna purely, even once, you'll be liberated and go back to Godhead. So, to make sure that we chant properly, we chant every day, at least 16 rounds every day on our beads. And that means that we're practiced to chanting the holy name of the Lord. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. We're practiced to always chant Hare Krishna, and especially at the moment of death. The moment of death for most people is very, very horrible. And they usually do not chant the name of the Lord at the moment of death because they're too stressed, thinking about who's going to get my 401k, who's going to get my car, who's going to get this. They're completely confused. But for a devotee, the moment of death is the best moment because the devotee is practiced to always chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra in preparation of the moment of death, while he or she will continue to chant Hare Krishna and go back to the spiritual world, you see. So it's very important to always chant the Hare Krishna mantra. It is your ticket back to Vaikuntha, and it's free. You just chant Hare Krishna, that's all. You don't have to give anybody money. So here it says, if the yogi is curious to know what the moon is like, he can transfer himself there. Or if he is interested in higher planets, he can transfer himself there. Just as travelers go to New York, London, or other cities on the earth. Wherever one goes on the earth, he finds the same visa and customs systems operating, and on all the material planets, one can similarly see the principles of birth, old age, disease, and death operating. Well, in other words, you're wasting your time trying to go to higher planets or lower planets because you're not going to be liberated from the cycle of birth and death. Om iti ekaksharam Brahma. At the point of death, the yogi can pronounce Om, Omkara, and the concise form of transcendental sound vibration. If the yogi can vibrate this sound, and at the same time remember Krishna or Vishnu, Mam Anusmara, he attains the highest goal. Well, yeah, if you can remember Om iti ekaksharam Brahma at the moment of death, is very, very good. Do not imagine this. They actually see Krishna. Jai Shri Krishna Bhagavan Ki Jai. Just like we're having darshan, you're actually seeing Krishna. The purpose of yoga is to concentrate the mind on Vishnu or Krishna. The impersonalists imagine some form of the Supreme Lord, but the personalists do not imagine this. They actually see the form of the Lord. Whether one imagines him or actually sees him, one has to concentrate his mind on the personal form of Krishna. So it's much easier to meditate on the form of the Lord as we do with the deities every day, rather than try to imagine something. The impersonalists imagine some form of the Supreme Lord, but the personalists do not imagine this. They actually see. Whether one imagines him or actually sees him, one has to concentrate his mind on the personal form of Krishna. But that's much easier when you have the deities. You can meditate on Krishna's transcendental form right here in the temple every day. You don't have to guess. You don't have to go to India. It's right here. Krishna is right here. Whether one imagines him or actually sees him, one has to concentrate his mind on the personal form of Krishna. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nitya saha tasyaham surlabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. For one who always remembers me, meaning Krishna, without deviation, I am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, because of his or her constant engagement in devotional service. Bhagavad Gita 8.14. If you know this one verse, you are eligible for liberation to the spiritual world. Let me read it again. This verse says, and by the way, it has beautiful Sanskrit too. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nitya saha tasyaham srulabha partha nitya yuktasya yogina. For one who always remembers Krishna without deviation, I, meaning Krishna, am easy to obtain, O son of Prita, meaning Arjuna, because of his or her constant engagement in devotional service. So the way to come in contact always with God or Krishna is to be engaged in devotional service, like coming to the temple and bowing down in front of the deities, like doing seva in the kitchen, or coming, doing seva in Sankirtan in public, or just coming to the temple, sitting down and chanting Hare Krishna. This is the way to make tangible spiritual advancement. And Krishna, when he hears you chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna is in your heart. When he hears you chanting like that, he takes a special interest in you. Most people ignore Krishna, even though Krishna is in the heart of all living entities. They ignore it. They ignore him. They're listening to music. They're looking at the what's happening in the stock market. They're talking all kinds of nonsense. They go to see baseball, football, basketball games. All waste of time, you see. But the devotee is always thinking about Krishna, but even more than that, is always serving Krishna with love and devotion, offering food to Krishna so it becomes prasadam, and helping others to have prasadam, and helping others to understand who Krishna is. So the devotee is always engaged in Krishna consciousness. The consciousness of the mind is always focused on Krishna through meditation. But the meditation that devotees have is thinking of Krishna through devotional service. So when you do devotional service, not only you're thinking of Krishna, but you're also meditating on Krishna in a practical way by offering food to Krishna and also receiving the remnants of the food as prasadam. So all that is meditating on Krishna, but it's not silent meditation. It is active meditation, which is much more, let's say, beneficial than silent meditation. Yeah, you can go in a closet, close the door, and meditate, but that is not as fun as coming on Harinam Sankirtan and meditating on the holy names of the Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Or coming to the temple and dancing and chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Those who are satisfied with temporary life, temporary pleasure, and temporary facilities are not intelligent, at least not according to the Bhagavad Gita. According to the Gita, one whose brain substance is very meager is interested in temporary things. We are eternal, so why should we be interested in temporary things? No one wants a non-permanent situation. If we are living in an apartment and the landlord asks us to vacate, we are sorry, but we are not sorry if we move into a better, but we are not sorry if we move into a better apartment because we are permanent. It is our nature to want a permanent residence. We don't wish to die because in actuality we are permanent. Nor do we want to grow old or be diseased, because these are all external or non-permanent states. Although we are not meant to suffer from fever, sometimes fever comes, and we have to take precautions and remedies to get well. The fourfold miseries are like a fever, and they are all due to the material body. If somehow we can get out of the material body, we can escape the miseries that are integral to it. For the impersonalists to get out of this temporary body, Krishna here advises that they vibrate the syllable Om. In this way, they can be assured of transmigration to the spiritual world. However, although they may enter the spiritual world, they cannot enter any of the planets there. They remain outside in the Brahmajyoti. The Brahmajyoti may be compared to the sunshine, and the spiritual planets may be compared to the sun itself. In the spiritual sky, the impersonalists remain in the effulgence of the Supreme Lord, the Brahmajyoti. The impersonalists are placed in the Brahmajyoti as spiritual sparks, and in this way, the Brahmajyoti is filled with spiritual sparks. This is what is meant by merging into the spiritual existence. It should not be considered that one merges into the Brahmajyoti in the sense of becoming one with it. The individuality of the spiritual spark is retained, but because the impersonalist does not want to take a personal form, he remains as a spiritual spark in that effulgence, just as the sunshine is composed of so many atomic particles. So the Brahmajyoti is composed of so many spiritual sparks. However, as living entities, we want enjoyment. Being in itself is not enough. We want bliss, ananda, as well as being sat, eternal. In his entirety, the living entity is composed of three qualities: eternality, knowledge, and bliss. Those who enter impersonally into the Brahmajyoti effulgence can remain there for some time in full knowledge that they are now merged homogeneously with Brahman, but they cannot have that eternal ananda, bliss, because that part is wanting. One may remain alone in a room for some time and may enjoy himself by reading a book or engaging in some thought, but it is not possible to remain in that room for years and years at a time, and certainly not for all eternity. Therefore, for one who merges impersonally into the existence of the Supreme, there is every chance of falling down again into the material world in order to acquire some association. This is the verdict of Srimad Bhagavatam. Astronauts may travel thousands and thousands of miles, but if they do not find rest on some planet, they have to return to Earth. In any case, rest is required. In the impersonal form, rest is uncertain. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam says that even after so much endeavor, if the impersonalist enter the spiritual world and acquires an impersonal form, he returns again to the material world because of neglecting to serve the Supreme Lord in love and devotion. As long as we are here on earth, we must learn to practice to love and serve Krishna, the Supreme Lord. If we learn this, we can enter those spiritual planets. The impersonalist position in the spiritual world is non-permanent, for out of loneliness he will attempt to acquire some association, because he does not associate personally with the Supreme Lord. He has to return to the material world and associate with conditioned living entities. It is of utmost importance, therefore, that we know the nature of our constitutional position. We want eternity, complete knowledge, and all pleasure. When we are left alone for a long time in the impersonal Brahmajyoti, we cannot have pleasure, and therefore we accept the pleasure given by the material world. But in Krishna consciousness, real pleasure is enjoyed. In the material world, it is generally accepted that the highest pleasure is sex. This is a perverted reflection of the sex pleasure in the spiritual world. But we should not think that the pleasure there is like the sex pleasure in the material world. No, it is different. But unless sex is there in the spiritual world, it cannot be reflected here. Here, it is simply a perverted reflection. But the actual life is there in Krishna, who is full of all pleasure. Therefore, the best process is to train ourselves now so that at the time of death, we may transfer ourselves to the spiritual universe, to Krishna Loka, and there enjoy in the association of Krishna. In the Brahma Samhita 529, Shri Krishna and his abode are described thus. Chintamani prakarasat masukalpa vriksha laksha vridesu surabir abhipalayantam lakshmi sahasra satasam sevyamanam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. I worship Govinda, the primeval Lord, the first progenitor, who is tending cows, yielding all desires in abodes built with spiritual gems and surrounded by millions of purpose trees. He is always served with great reverence and affection. Hundreds and thousands of goddesses, and he's always served with great reverence and affection by hundreds of thousands of goddesses of fortune. This is a description of Krishna Loka, the spiritual world. The houses are made of what is called touchstone. Whatever touchstone touches immediately turns into gold. The trees are wish-fulfilling trees or desire trees, for one can receive from them whatever he wishes. In this world, we get mangoes from mango trees and apples from apple trees, but from any tree one can get whatever he desires in the spiritual world. Similarly, the cows are called surabi, and they yield an endless supply of milk. These descriptions of the spiritual planets are found in Vedic scriptures. In this material world, we have become acclimated to birth, death, old age, and disease. Material scientists have discovered many facilities for sense enjoyment and destruction, but they have discovered no solution to the problem of birth, death, old age, and disease. They cannot make any machine that will check or stop birth, death, old age, and disease. We can manufacture something that will accelerate death, but nothing that will stop death. Those who are intelligent, however, are concerned not with these four miseries of material life, birth, death, old age, and disease, but with elevation to the spiritual planets. One who is continuously in trance, nitya yuktasya yogina, does not divert his attention to anything else. His mind is always filled with the thought of Krishna, without deviation. Ananya cheta satatam yomam smarati nityasa. Satatam refers to anywhere and any time. In India, I lived in Vrindavan, and now I am in America. But this does not mean that I am out of Vrindavana, because if I think of Krishna always, then I am always in Vrindavana, regardless of my material location. Krishna consciousness means that one always lives with Krishna on his spiritual planet, Goloka Vrindavana, and that one is simply waiting to give up his material body. Smarati nityasaha means continuously remembering. And for one who is continuously remembering Krishna, the Lord becomes sulabha, easily purchased. Krishna himself says that he is easily purchased by the bhakti yoga process. Then why should we take to any other process? We can chant, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, 24 hours daily. There are no rules and regulations. One can chant in the street, in the subway, or at his home or office. There is no tax and no expense, so why not take to it? Haribol. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. This is beyond birth and death. So I'll read more of this tomorrow. It's a very nice booklet, and it helps us to understand how wonderful Krishna is and how merciful Srila Prabhupada is to give us this Shastra. Otherwise, we would be lost. We would be sitting somewhere forlorn and miserable and trying to find ways to have sense gratification. Any questions? Anybody have a question? And comments? Anybody have a question? Read something that you underlined in your book. Okay. All right.
It says, we don't wish to die because in
Actuality.
we are permanent.
Yeah.
Nor do we want to grow old or be diseased. suffer from fever, sometimes fever comes and we have to take precautions and remedies to get well again. The fourfold miseries are like a fever and they are all due to the material body. If somehow we can get out of the material body, we can escape the miseries that are integral to it.
Oh, okay. There's no question there. All right, that's all right. That's a takeaway for today. Okay, any other questions or comments? Don't be afraid. This is your opportunity to ask a question. Yes. Okay, say that louder. If you lost a loved one, yeah. How do you connect to them? By chanting Hare Krishna. The mantra is spiritual. It's not a mundane vibration. It has come down from the spiritual world. So if you have some loved one, they're somewhere in the spiritual world now. So you connect to them by chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. We connect to people through vibration. So the vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra will put you directly in contact with Krishna and also your loved one or loved ones who have left their bodies. Now, they have taken new bodies after 7 months, but still you connect to them by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We connect to people by vibration, by talking, by in other words, by chanting. So you will connect to your loved ones who have left their bodies by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. In my family, everyone is dead. They all died. Uncles, aunties, mother and father, they're all dead. But I connect to them by chanting Hare Krishna, right? And praying to Krishna to please help them wherever they are at this time. And that is the real daughter or son. The real daughter or son will not forget their parents and their loved ones, their friends. They will always chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra for the benefit of the people that they love and also for anyone. Right? So you connect to your loved ones by the vibration of the holy name. Okay? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. We connect to deceased people through the vibration of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. As soon as you chant Hare Krishna, it goes out into the material world, and it goes everywhere. See, that's the value. That's the special, let's say, quality of a spiritual vibration. That's what the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is a spiritual vibration. So as soon as you chant, it goes right into the universe and to every nook and corner of the universe. So if you want to connect to your, let's say, deceased relatives or friends, you simply chant Hare Krishna. They will be benefited and you will be benefited. And you'll be able to have peace of mind. Just like I had a friend of mine, he wasn't a devotee, and he had a girlfriend, and he rejected his girlfriend, and she committed suicide. Then she haunted him after she committed suicide. So he called me up, and he said, Prabhu, I need your help. I said, hey, John, I said, I haven't talked to you in 40 years. How do you know I can help you? He said, no, I know who you are. I know what you are. You're the only one who can help me. I said, okay, well, what help do you need? He said, well, I had a girlfriend, and I rejected her, and I threw her out of the house, and then she committed suicide. And now every day she's haunting me. I can't sleep. I see her all the time, and I'm freaked out. He said, you got to do something. You got to help me. I said, look, why did you throw her out of the house in the first place? He said, this thing, that thing. I said, okay, look, here's what you do. Every day you should cook a vegetarian meal with no onion or garlic. You should offer it to Krishna. You'll need a picture of Krishna, and you should make an offering, and I'll give you a little booklet. It only costs $1. It has all the prayers that you have to say, and you offer the food first. And after it's offered, it can take maybe 15 minutes, 20 minutes, then you can partake of that sanctified food that is called prasadam. But first, you offer it to the picture of